Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be diving into the wonderful world and the wacky world of design thinking. Now alright, picture this. You're at a brainstorming session, you're in work and someone throws out the term design thinking. You nod along pretending like you know exactly what this means, but inside you're thinking, design what now? Well, no worries, I've got your back. At the end of this video you're going to have a full understanding of the entire design thinking process. Well, design thinking is like a superpower for solving problems creatively. It's not just for designers, it really is well and truly for everyone. Whether you're working on a new app, planning a community project, or just figuring out how to organise your wardrobe, like me, your home, or maybe even your life in general, design thinking can truly help with these things. So let's break it down into 5 easy steps. Thinking of them like the Avengers of problem solving. Each one has their own superpower. Are you ready? Well, let's go. Step 1, the detective, or as it's known in the traditional design thinking process, empathy. This is all about understanding the people that you're designing for. Imagine you're a detective, but instead of solving crimes, you're solving problems. And you need to get into people's heads and hearts. How do they feel? What do they need? Where are they doing the things that you're hoping to design for, so that context? And how do they currently do things? A true story, when I applied for design school way back in the 90s, I decided to redesign a fork for cooking. Instead of just making something really trendy like a cool looking fork, I went out and spoke to chefs and cooks. And by that I mean all my mums and dads of my friends in my neighbourhood. And I really found out that people just didn't want a fork that looked cool. They wanted one that didn't conduct heat and get really hot when you're cooking food, but also not made of plastic. So when I did this, I found out that they didn't want it made of plastic because they didn't want to contaminate the food, but also learned that they struggled to put the utensil down on the counter without making a mess. Now without any of those research sessions, I would have just designed a trendy fork, but it wouldn't have really solved their problem. It was just another fork amongst all of the other forks. Step 2, define, or as I like to call it, the scientist. Now that you've gathered all of those clues, it's time to define the problem. Think of it as setting your GPS before a road trip. In order to do that, you need to clear the destination. You need to look at the evidence or the data that we've gathered in the first piece. That's in front of us and the data guides us. Now, for that cooking fork scenario, it wasn't just that somebody wanted a cool looking fork, they wanted one that was going to work with them and not create a mess and didn't spill and can be used whilst cooking. So it's really about getting super clear on where you're going so you don't end up in the middle of a random destination in the middle of nowhere. Step 3, ideate, or as I like to say, think like Edison or even Einstein. This is the fun part where you get to come up with some crazy ideas. We take what we've learned and no idea is too wild. Now we connect what we've learned and try and connect and provide solutions to those problems. Now my friend and her team many years ago were trying to come up with ideas for mugs, and they had some crazy ideas where you could one that could text you your coffee was getting cold. And maybe not all those ideas were practical, but it's about quantity over quality at this stage. They even thought about a mug with a built-in heater powered by the car's cigarette lighter. That's not too bad of an idea. Some ideas were so out there that we couldn't help but laugh, like a voice-activated mug that told you jokes when you sipped. But hey, sometimes the wildest ideas spark the most practical solutions. Step 4, time to get hands-on. My favourite one, prototyping. You build a version of your solution. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be able to get the message across. So in this scenario, we really aim for the low fidelity piece at that stage. Low effort, as long as you're aiming to get a high return of the potential to learn. We want to learn about what works and what doesn't work. People get caught up with these digital tools too early, in my opinion, so you're always best to stick to pencil and paper where possible. In the scenario of the mug, they created a few prototypes. Some were too big, some were too small, and one looked like it belonged in a sci-fi movie. I do remember that. But that's the point, it's all about experimentation. They even made a prototype with a little sleeve that changed colour when the coffee was at the perfect temperature. That's pretty cool. This stage is all about trying different things and learning what works, and most importantly, what doesn't work. Like that sci-fi mug, it turns out no one really wants a mug that looks like it could fly off on its own. Step 5, testing. Now it's time to be that detective again. You're going to put your prototype to the test. How do we do that? Well, we get feedback from the people that are going to use it. And when we do get that feedback, we tweak it and repeat it if necessary. It's like a game of hot and cold. Do you remember playing that as a child? Where you're getting warmer all the time. And after several weeks, my friend nailed it and they designed the perfect mug. They handed it back out to coffee lovers, gathered feedback and kept improving it. Whether one user suggested a spill-proof lid that you could operate with one hand, perfect for busy parents. Another loved the idea with a built-in coaster to catch the drips, and they even tested it with people who had arthritis to make sure that it was easy to hold and use. And guess what? It became a hit with coffee lovers. The final design had a comfortable grip, it fit perfectly into a car holder, kept coffee hot for hours. Success! That's what we're talking about. So there you have it, the 5 different stages. Design thinking in a nutshell. We've got empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and testing. It's a cycle, and sometimes you have to go back and forth between these steps, but that's all part of the journey. It's not a linear path, but the more like a dance. Sometimes you have to take a step back to move forward. It's something that's easier to grasp but harder to master, and at the end of the day, like anything else, it takes time and energy to become an expert.